ever forget what game you're in for a hot minute and then you use the wrong keybind and you get aggravated when it pops open random windows or maybe worse, does absolutely nothing at all? Well, congratulations, my friend. You have fantastic reflexes. Or maybe you're just getting old and set in your ways like me. Hi folks, I'm Aria. Welcome to my channel. If you're watching this video, I assume you've heard of the brand new MMO Palia. Now, I signed up for the beta pretty late, so I was surprised to receive an invite before the public open beta started. I wouldn't say I've been glued to my computer ever since, but that's only because I won't admit to it. I've collected here a few things that tripped me up in the first few days as my muscle memory tried to do things from the wrong game. There's already a few thousand, quote, beginner tips videos out there for Palia, and if that's what you're looking for, this isn't it. But you might still find this useful. Now, we all have expectations. You can't get away from them. MMOs have been around a long time. I've played a lot of other games by this point, and odds are you have too. Your expectations, my expectations, are shaped by those games. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's how humans are wired. MMOs run on muscle memory and twitch impulses that fire before we think. And if you don't develop that in a game, well, you probably die a lot. So it's hard to context switch when you play a lot of games. I try to minimize that as much as possible with key rebinding, but that really only goes so far. Overall, the controls and gameplay concepts for this game reminded me the most of Conan Exiles, but with all the harsh, gritty bits removed. A cozy Conan, if you will. Coming from ESO, the controls aren't terribly strange either, but for someone whose main experience is just WoW or SWTOR or one of their many clones, you may have to give yourself some time to get used to the controls. So here, in no particular order, are the things that set my teeth on edge. The stuff I screwed up, or couldn't find. Hopefully they will help your first forays into Palia be a lot more fun and a lot less swearing at the screen. So the two biggest, most important things are right when you start. I blew right by them, so I don't even have any video to show you because I didn't realize that I needed it. First, you only get one character. Just one. Just one. And you can't delete it and start over. So don't make a joke tune to try it out and then find that you're stuck with what you've got. Secondly, the character name in character creation is actually your username that you want other players to know you as. I didn't know that, and I gave my character a name that is not the username I would have chosen. I mean, I'm not unhappy with the name, but it's a normal name like a first and last name. It's not what I would have chosen for the short name in my friends list. Now, in retrospect, it does make sense that if you only get one character, their name would be your username, but it's not made clear at the beginning that you only ever get one tune. So name appropriately. Additionally, some of your customization choices can't be changed once you leave character creation. Since you can't delete your tune and start over, make sure that you're happy with what you've got before you continue. You will be able to change hair and clothing later, but not the basic things like the face or the skin color or the body shape. I believe I saw somewhere that changing some of those things may be added later, but there's no telling when that will be, so plan accordingly. On a positive note here, there's no gender per se, just body type choices. None of the clothes or hair are gender locked, neither are the voices, so far as I saw, and the models look great on both body types. There's no weird texture stretching like you get in some games where it's clear that the developers worked only on one and then just tried to slap it on the other. So massive kudos to the team at Singularity 6 for that. Now, the servers in Palia aren't like servers in most games. What they call a server, you might be more familiar with as a shard or a phase in a different game. Anytime you log in or zone in, you will be put on a, quote, server with up to 25 other people. But if you zone out and back in, you may have a totally different group of people. You can pull friends to your server to play together, though. Now, I thought this was a little weird at first. I'm used to the crowds in major cities and other games. It's different in the same way that moving to a small town is different from living in a metro area. I don't know. I kind of like it, maybe. More than I did when I lived in a small town in real life, anyway. There were no trolls in chat. There was no endless stream of vulgar chatter. I mean, it wasn't silent, but it wasn't scrolling too fast to bother with either. If you're a chronic clicker like me, You're out of luck. You can't uncouple the camera from the mouse, so you can't click on anything in the screen except if you've got a window popped open. It's driving me crazy. There's also no camera zoom or first person. You get your third person distant view, and that's it. There's also no screenshot keybind. Now there is a camera mode if you press K, but this takes you out of the main window and you can't, for example, take a series of quick screenshots while you're chasing a deer. In some spaces, there's no map. At first I thought this was an error, but then, well, no, actually, I'm still not sure it's intentional, but it is consistent, so just be aware. Once you start exploring, the map will appear. You can't look at any map other than the one you're on, however. Also, there's no mini-map. Now, if you've played ESO or similar games, you'll be familiar with the proximity and directional indicator at the top of the screen. It works like you're expecting, and it felt really clean. If you haven't played a game with one of these, that weird bar across the top of the screen is going to be your new best friend, especially without a mini-map to orient with. It shows you where your quest objectives are, and once you get to about 500 meters, their proximity. Gathering is easier at night because the nodes glow slightly. So if you can't find something, wait for the night cycle and look again. This doesn't work for everything though, because time of day affects the chance of some things being available, but it's a good place to start. X will stow your tool, but it will not equip it. You have to press R to select a tool from the tool wheel. Your inventory is your action bar. Use the mouse wheel to scroll between lines. Now I felt really stupid about this one. To eat, put the food on your action bar, press the number associated with it. Now what? Nothing's happening. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out that after you hit the number and it highlights as ready, you right click. Just anywhere on the screen, just right click, and you will eat the food. Likewise, if you open your inventory, you can get a right-click context menu on items, which I didn't think existed at first because you can't click on the items in the action bar with the inventory closed. When you place storage in your house, it does stack, and it creates a pool of storage spaces. So you don't have to worry about designating chests for different things or moving things around between chests. Just chuck it all in the nearest bin. If you need fast gold early on to buy all of the crafting stations, the pond in your housing plot fishes up minnows and junk that have an okay sell price. Now, it's not going to be a long-term bankroll, but if you're close to what you need and you don't want to sell your crafting mats, fish work. This one is going to be controversial. In a different game, I would call the cosmetic clothing prices absolutely ridiculous. But it is their only source of income, so they're maybe relatively okay. I think it's more than fair to be willing to drop about $10 a month average on cosmetics in place of a sub when you can, which translates to about an outfit per quarter. I think that's fair. That's about comparable to a sub. And, they have to keep the servers running and pay the staff somehow. I didn't see a list of these anywhere, but there are slash commands for some commands and for your emotes. If you get stuck, type slash unstuck and it will move you out. Another of those things that took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out. Sadly, there's no swimming. If you get into deep water, it just moves you back to the shore you left. You can climb rocks and some vines. You can't climb walls or ladders. There's no fall damage, and if you think hearing that I climbed to the highest point I could find when I discovered this just so that I could test it, well, you'd be right. In fact, I think there's no damage or death mechanic at all, or at least in my few days playing so far I couldn't find one, and when I noticed I did try things that should have probably killed my toon just to see what would happen. I guess it's fair that if you only get one character, death really doesn't count as cozy. Finally, and most importantly, remember that this is a working beta. This is not a soft open, quote, early access of some kind of final polished game just for hype like some devs do. The content that's available is solid, but it's minimal because they're making sure that all of their features work first. And this is actually a good thing from a development workload standpoint. But you will be disconnected frequently, the servers will go down relatively often, there are still bugs, and things will change. And that's okay. The open beta is their stress test of what they have so far, and our reward for helping test is that we get to keep all our progress when they go live with the full final game. It's totally worth it. And to be clear, none of these things that I've mentioned so far detract from what is a perfectly charming little game. It's just if you're like me, and you probably are if you've made it here to the end, these are the things that are most likely to catch you unaware if you're coming from other games. Oh, I need to go. My onions aren't going to water themselves. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to wave at me in Kalima Village. And if you could like and subscribe, and maybe click the bell to receive notifications when I post new videos, that would be swell too. I hope you have a very cozy day.